Sword Art Online Fractured Daydream finally released yesterday for the people who pre-ordered the deluxe editions. I spent about 6 hours playing the game before I went to bed, and after putting a lot of time into the beta test that was held, I have a lot of answers to my concerns and also, well, more concerns. So a quick reminder that these are my first impressions and initial thoughts for the game. I played for 6 hours, and the further I go into the game, things may change or updates may enhance some features. This entire session was streamed on my Twitch at twitch.tv/HowWesley, so be sure to check that out if you're interested in catching more live. Real quick though, if you care about gameplay or minor story spoilers for early parts of the story quest, I will be talking and showing some of that here, so let's get started. I recently uploaded a video talking about my open beta impressions, so I figured it only makes sense to talk about my full game first impressions. I have cleared the first chapter of the story and a few quests into chapter 2. I have tried out the free roam mode a little bit and I did 2 co-op quests. I've gotten to try out a ton of characters that weren't featured in the beta. I also got to take a peek at a bunch of full game features for its microtransaction systems and additional rewards. First, let's talk about gameplay impressions. So I ended up playing a bunch of the open beta and the gameplay is identical, naturally. The characters still feel pretty great to play. Force skills, special skill, ultimate skill, normal and heavy attacks, the ability to sprint, dodge, and guard. So I got to play as a bunch of the new characters. So far, I got to play as Kirito, Asuna, Elizabeth, Klein, Aegil, Heathcliff, Argo, Lin, Nautilus or Eiji, Sinon, Fukuzero, Administrator, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Lifa. Kirito feels great to play as, Asuna's quick, now Elizabeth is new for me, so Elizabeth feels surprisingly good. She can fly, her attacks feel very swingy due to her using a mace, and she felt very fun to play. She also dealt really good amounts of damage. Also, playing as Klein feels really good. I had a lot of fun playing as Klein, more than most of the other new characters that I got to play as. He just feels good with different buff stances and is capable of dealing a lot of damage. I don't usually like tanks all that much, but Aegil felt awesome to play when I played as him during the open beta, and like Aegil, Heathcliff also felt really good to play. He's definitely more of a tank character than Aegil with a big focus on his shields and defense. He is still capable of dealing pretty good damage, but it really seems like his whole deal is more centered around defense, which it makes sense. I am especially interested to see how Heathcliff plays in the context of a raid boss. From the open beta, Argo was great to play, good at dealing damage with good ability to maneuver around. Lin plays practically identical to Sword Art Online Fatal Bullet, and she feels great with an insanely good dash and, you know, she's just fun. Now, Nautilus or Eiji was surprising. Now, he wasn't in the beta, so I didn't have a great idea of how he would play. He is seriously cool to play. He is really fun as well. During his combat, he break dances and stuff. Bro has got moves. It's really fun to just sit there and watch some of his animations because really, he is, you cannot tell me he is not breakdancing. I definitely want to continue playing more of him because he does feel very fun to play. Sinon felt great to play in the beta, long-range sniper that can deal big damage. Fukuzero plays very well for mid-range AoE damage, but I feel like I'm really bad at playing as her. Next up, 2 characters that were not in the beta. First, Administrator. Administrator feels great to play. Her ability to deal close-up AoE damage is great, and she's probably one of the best characters to take out hordes of enemies up close. She can fly and can also deal just a ton of damage relatively easily. Now for my boy Yu-Gi-Oh. Yu-Gi-Oh was really fun to play. He kind of surprised me because he also has a good variety of ranged attacks, but both his ranged attacks and melee attacks did really great damage. I am a Yu-Gi-Oh fan and I had a lot of fun seeing how he played. I'm also pretty interested to see how he functions in the context of a raid boss with his abilities for freezing. Last, we got Lifa. She was in the open beta, she could fly, and she was pretty fun to play. I think her healing wasn't the greatest, but for up-close flying combat, she felt really good. I believe the only character that I haven't unlocked so far from the open beta is Oberon, who was really strange to play during the open beta, but he was great for crowd control and AoE damage. Now that's character stuff out of the way for who I've gotten a chance to play as so far. I said this before, but I am so surprised at how good and different each character feels from one another. I feel like there really is a character for everyone of every different playstyle, and I still haven't unlocked everyone yet. Each character has their own quirks, different gameplay styles, different specialties, skills, and so far, it makes sense what each of those characters' roles and capabilities are in the context of the various game modes that are available in the game. I like how the combat in this game feels, that you get punished for making bad decisions, and you can move around pretty effectively, and it allows for a great balance of that weighty but quick combat. Let's talk about the story stuff now. I'm somewhat early into chapter 2, and so far the plot itself is pretty interesting. I won't spoil it, but even early in the first chapter, I got hooked pretty quickly to what was going on. Sword Art Online games generally have a pretty good plot, and some games I would argue that the plot is even better than some of the actual seasons. As for whether if this is a case case with here, it's too early to tell. So far, I am enjoying it, and especially it's been really cool and fun to see characters that you don't usually see interact with each other begin interacting. Now, I do have some conflicting feelings about the story quests themselves. The structure of them isn't bad though, so most story quests have side exploration objectives. Go complete these challenges, go collect 3 of these, there's 1 hidden treasure on the map, and there's some mini boss hiding somewhere. Clearing these gives you 100% completion for that quest. Some of the exploration rewards include illustrations to your profile card and appearance cosmetic outfits. Unfortunately, not every quest has these exploration rewards, and there's no way to view a checklist after you enter the quest. I felt at least that it would become pretty easy to forget because you could spend a lot of time exploring looking for them. I felt that getting S ranks on some quests was a little weird. I don't quite have the greatest tell on how the scoring is being kept, but it seems like the best strategy really is to just run around, defeat a ton of enemies that are optional, then go fight the mini-boss, and then go fight the boss and do not die in the process. It makes it a little tedious to get an S rank if you've already completed the quest with an A rank or something, because you just kinda run around defeating enemies. It doesn't really necessarily seem performance-based, but rather just, how much side stuff can you do? Based. My last issue with the story is that there's invisible walls preventing you from going to certain places, but it's almost impossible to tell what areas are inaccessible for you. It's different every quest, and the exploration rewards are at different locations. They aren't marked on your map, so you really gotta explore this big place and find them, and unfortunately with no way to see the invisible walls, it means that more often than not, I would have to go find the boundaries, make mental notes, and then the boundaries will change halfway through the quest anyways. It's a little nerve-wracking, and I wish that they would display the invisible wall boundaries on the map. I feel like for the most part that these are addressable issues, so hopefully they do get addressed and the game gets updated with a checklist or something in the pause menu, and an invisible wall boundary line on the minimap at least. Otherwise though, the story quests feel pretty fun to play, and I do think that they do a great job at letting you try out a good variety of characters. I have put most of my playtime so far into the story mode. It's just simple mission-based storytelling with side exploration objectives. If you didn't care for the story and just wanted to unlock all of the characters and go play online, I am sure that you could quite quickly beeline the main objectives and just skip through the story. Of course, this is only if you're more interested in just getting to the main online features, and I personally won't be skipping any of the story myself. I tried out the free roam as well for about 20 minutes. It puts you on this big map that seems to revolve throughout the day if I'm not mistaken. This big map has different sections split into different level groups. Named enemies spawn randomly on the map and get marked for everyone so that they can come together to fight these strong enemies. Otherwise though, enemies just spawn naturally in random places, and it makes for a much more chill experience. However, I don't really think that there's a particular merit over playing this game mode compared to one of the boss raids or co-op quests. The only thing that I can think of is that in some instances, it may be easier to farm for daily or weekly missions here. I'll come back to that shortly. The co-op quest that I played was the same one from the open beta, which it felt very good to play and I had no issues with. The segments play very well and it's great for exactly what the name implies. I haven't gotten to do any raid bosses in the full game yet, but if it's anything like the beta, they will be very enjoyable. Now, one of my greatest worries about this game kind of relates to those daily and weekly missions that I spoke of. So every month, there seems to be a battle pass-like system. Completing daily and weekly missions gives you points to clear it out. There's 25 total rewards, with the majority of rewards that you would want being in the first 16 levels. The main rewards seem to be SAO tickets, cosmetics and vanity items, profile illustrations, emotes, and what appears to be consumable items for upgrading equipment, or something. The rest of the rewards after level 16 are just legendary items for appraising, which appear to be lesser rewards compared to something like vanity or SAO tickets. Maybe it's because this is the first month, but I feel like this battle pass is pretty weak. The last feature to talk about, and the biggest worry of all, is the store. Now, I have not made it far enough to give a concrete future-proof answer to this, so this is only worry-based off of my current knowledge. So the store in this game are bundles with cosmetics that you can buy with medals or SAO tickets. Here's the deal though, I have not gotten a single medal yet, but you can buy them with real money. I have not gotten a single SAO ticket, but I know you can obtain at least 2 SAO tickets by completing up to the level 16 on the Battle Pass. This is concerning, but you know, maybe I haven't gotten far enough to see another way of earning these naturally. Assuming the Battle Pass doesn't change that much, that would mean that every 31 days you have the ability to get 2 SAO tickets. For the more interesting bundles, you require 3 SAO tickets to unlock them. Right now there are 3 featured bundles, and each one of them costs 1800 SAO medals, or 3 SAO tickets. There's also another handful of bundles that are 2 or 1 SAO tickets. Generally, the featured bundles appear to have more interesting unlocks like altered voice lines and animations. That means that it can take over 1 month to unlock just one of those featured bundles through the Battle Pass. It doesn't look like these are time limited, but I'm sure they'll also be releasing new ones monthly, and there's just not enough time for you to unlock the stuff with the reward output. I am gonna hold out some hope that there is a way of unlocking all of this without paying through some late in-game content or something, because I wouldn't mind taking on really difficult challenges if it meant paying out some medals or a chance to drop an SAO ticket. At least these are cosmetics, so they're not crazy special or pay to win, but you know, I have a desire to collect them all if I can, especially given that this is already a full price game. My last concern here is that I fear that there isn't a huge amount of content right now. Now don't get me wrong, there is a lot to do, but in the future, a month or two from now, how much will they be adding to spice up the gameplay? Will they be adding new co-op quests, new raid bosses, potentially new story missions? Now, there's no way of concretely knowing this right now, so I'm a little worried about the game's future. All in all though, my first impressions have been very positive and more positive than negative. I'm just a concerned fan who wants to see this game do well. I'm sure that some things though will be cleared up over time. I mentioned it in my first open beta video and I'll say it again, but the main content for this game isn't the story, it's the online modes, the free roam, the co-op quests, and especially the boss raids. And they're all extremely fun even if the story isn't perfect. I still feel very positive about this game, so this has been more of a talking about concerns video based on my first impressions. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll be making more content on Sword Art Online Fractured Daydream. Additionally, my next video should be more concrete and less willy-nilly me just talking, thinking, being concerned.